Okay, welcome back to the second session, and if you look at the slide on antonyms which you are going to see now, there is a boy breaking his head, and I think you are also breaking your heads thinking, what is this? We have another session just with a break of 10 minutes, and how do you expect us to remember all these things? But a studious, a diligent student who wants to prepare for his examinations, I am sure won't be like that boy who is trying to break his head. And if you have the regular practice of reading, listening and going through your papers, you will not be in this despicable or pitiable condition. So, I am sure you have guessed what the topic for this session is, the opposite of what we did, synonyms, and these are antonyms. I think synonyms are like degrees of comparison, as we have seen, like different shades of the color of blue, whereas antonyms are like the poles. From one side you have the positive, from the other side you have the negative. Like that, synonyms are all under one category, whereas antonyms come under opposite poles. So, what you see in this slide here is there are synonyms and antonyms, same and opposites. This is an exercise given to students, very young students. You can see the teacher has asked them to categorize and put synonyms in one bag and antonyms in another bag, and the words there, some are synonyms and some are antonyms. If a teacher has devised this activity for her young students, I think you can do such an activity for yourselves, like a small competition among yourselves to improve your vocabulary. We are not going into the games and competitions, but just that is a fun way of improving your vocabulary. You can all try and do it. Now, just as in synonyms, we did not have an opportunity to go through all the synonyms. In this session in antonyms also, we won't be doing that. We will be just giving some clues. As in the case of synonyms, antonyms treated here are not exhaustive. Exhaustive means limitless. This is the synonym. You can discover many more from your reading and constant recourse to your dictionaries, newspapers, etc. So, whatever is true for synonyms is true for antonyms too. You can read and gather, you can try to think what could be the synonym. Similarly, you can try to think what could be the antonym for this word also, because in your examinations there is no rule that this word should be given only for synonyms and this word should be given only for antonyms. Any word can be used in either of these categories. So, let us see. These are some clippings from the latest newspaper. If you can check the dates also, from 18th May, 5th May, like this. No rollback of fuel duty hike. Here in this caption in the newspaper, you can see antonyms. One is hike, the other is rollback. If you start reading your newspaper carefully, as I already said, you can find antonyms everywhere. And why do these writers, why do these newspaper people use them? Because they make the expression more catchy. Cold cuts are hot options. While describing the drinks available, this is another caption used last week in a newspaper. And here, past perfect, future tense. Perfect and tense, past and future. So, in this expression they have used two antonyms to give a wonderful idea of what they think about the past and what their fears are about the future. So, newspaper people go on using antonyms. If you just read your newspaper every day, I think your job, half the job is done. And same rule for synonyms, same rule for antonyms also. You must be careful regarding the part of speech to which it belongs. Any appropriate word to be accepted as the antonym of another, both the words must belong to the same part of speech. So, a noun, the antonym also has to be a noun. Thus, here is just an example. Bravery can be accepted as the antonym of cowardice, since both are nouns, but we can hardly accept brave, which is an adjective, in that position. So, bravery, cowardice. Brave, coward. Like this, you must be careful about the part of speech to which the given antonym belongs in your examination. Roughly trying to guess and roughly write something from the options would lead you nowhere. So, you must know something about your grammar too. And you already know antonyms are words which are opposite to each other, and in English, just like synonyms, it is possible to have words which are completely different in form constituting antonyms. There are many ways in which antonyms are formed in English. Today here in this session, we are going to see some of the important forms in which we form antonyms in English and try to do some exercises where you can use your own vocabulary, because the exercises which we are going to practice today are very limited. In many cases, an antonym can be formed by using the same word with a prefix added or changed or a suffix changed. In some class in future, over this TV itself, you would be knowing about prefixes and suffixes and how they matter in improving your vocabulary. Today, our focus is only on the kind of antonyms you can form by making these changes and how you should be careful, because meanings differ depending on the prefix or suffix and the changes you make. Here is a list of words, very simple words, which I am sure all of you know. They are totally different and they are the antonyms. So, wealth, the opposite is poverty. Initial, final. Arrival, departure. King, subject, not queen. Success, failure. Friendly, hostile. But if they do not give the word subject, and if by any mistake they give only queen as the options in your examinations, then choose that if there is nothing better, because the examiners are not always so careful in giving the options. But if the word king has two options of queen and subject, you should go for the word subject and not for queen, because subject means subordinate, not the subjects you read in your examinations. For the next slide, you see here there are some more words, but while we read the list, I want you to think what could be the synonyms for words on either side, and let us do it together after reading the words. Often, the opposite is seldom. Teach, learn. Divide, multiply. Humble, proud. Flexible, opposite is rigid. Dynamic, static. Bravery, cowardice, we already read that. Fertile and barren. Trying to know antonyms is not just once again getting these words by heart, but trying to think what could be the other shades and what could be the other possible words which can be used on either side. So, for example, if it is the word often, it could be frequent or frequently, and seldom could be rare. Teach, it could be impart, it could be educate, and learn could be receive. Like this, if you note down these words, I think you can find the synonyms of the words given on the left as well as the synonyms for the words given on the right, thereby multiplying your vocabulary both in the synonyms part and the antonyms part, which would be helpful for you in the examinations and for expression in real life too. Here are some more words which form their antonyms by completely different words, but you may say educated, It can form its antonym even by adding un, uneducated to, educated, illiterate, beautiful, ugly. Answer, question, speaker, listener, creditor, debtor, ally, enemy, heed, ignore, allies, friends. So, all these words, they have their opposites with different shades, and here, just as I remembered my Tanuku students earlier, I think I can tell you some of the wonderful answers which my intermediate students wrote. Wonderful in the sense because they did not understand what was expected when we asked them about antonyms. This was some 10 years back. We gave the word holy, H-O-L-Y, and asked them to write the antonym for the word, and they thought Holi is a festival which is celebrated in India, and they wrote Sankranti, Pongal. Like this, they wrote the names of so many festivals like the opposite of holy. And for the word harmony, H-A-R-M-O-N-Y, they wrote violin, fidel, once again with the wrong spelling, or any musical instrument. They gave me the choice, I can choose. So, students commit such simple mistakes because they do not know what is expected, because they do not have enough practice. But yours will not be the case, I am sure, because you are every day trying to improve your skills. So, do not commit such silly mistakes. And here, let us go to the next list where there are some prefixes. Prefix is something which you add before the word, which makes it its opposite in meaning. For the word like, unlike and dislike. Unlike and dislike are both the opposites of like, true, but are they similar in meaning? Unlike is totally different and dislike is something which you do not like. So, once again you should use the right prefix for the right antonym depending on the context. Unlike my brother, I am very studious, means my brother is not studious, I am studious. That is the meaning you convey by using the word unlike in that expression. But when you say dislike, I dislike this situation, you do not like it. Unlike and dislike are completely different. So, try to use the right prefix to indicate the right meaning which you want to. Married, unmarried. Let us not go into the details of what is the difference between being unmarried and being a spinster, but married, opposite, unmarried, regular, irregular. So, this prefix there identify, polite, impolite, violent, non-violent, legal, illegal, agree, disagree, fortune, misfortune. MIS is the prefix there, but take is not the opposite of mistake. So, most of us students, they feel all the words in English which have UN or MIS or IN are having their synonyms by just removing the prefix, but all there in those situations the word itself is like that. It is not the prefix which can be removed. So, we should know where the prefixes are being added and where the word itself has it as a component. So, mistake, opposite is not take. Let us see the next slide where I have just given you the prefixes instead of giving the exact sentence which should be done. I think we can do it together. Advantage, by adding it becomes disadvantage. Sense, nonsense. Moral, immoral. Godly, ungodly. Legal, illegal. Regular, irregular. Convenient, inconvenient. Loyal, disloyal. Noble,